Today on the CTV News at 5, another candidate comes forward looking for a spot on City Council, pushing the number of hopefuls to 15. Plus, what the weather has meant for farmers harvesting. And the newest trend among teens, smoking alcohol.
CTV News with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good afternoon. The latest jobless figures are out, and it's good news for the Lethbridge Medicine Hat region. Almost a full percentage point of people found work from August compared to July. The rate dropped from 4.2% from 5.1%. The provincial unemployment rate is up slightly to 4.8% from 4.5% across Alberta. Now, Canada's economy created a surprising 59,000 new jobs last month. Statistics Canada's August employment survey is 3 times higher than what analysts expected, and most of the gains were in the service industry and health sectors. But an underlying trend suggests the gains may not be as positive as they seem. CTV's Richard Madden explains.
Prime Minister Stephen Harper bragged about Canada's economy at the G20 summit, and today's surprising job numbers was a bonus.
But they do confirm a tendency that has been ongoing for some time, and that has been the steady growth of jobs in Canada.
But a deeper look into August employment figures suggests a dramatic shift in Canada's job market, and the gains may not be as positive as it might seem. That's because most of the new positions created last month were part-time and filled by those over 55.
Well, we do see a lot of older workers gaining employment in areas like retail, trade, accommodation and food. Some of the lower wage areas, these are seniors that want to continue working.
Analysts say it's a symptom of a lackluster economy that's forced older Canadians to take extra work in sectors that were once considered entry-level.
We're seeing a trend that older workers are pushing teens or younger teens, high school students, out of those part-time after-school jobs.
Some resource centres report an increase of older Canadians trying to re-enter the workforce. Many have to support their own children who've moved back home and are looking for a paycheck with company benefits.
Your pension plans generally stopped after a period of time from companies, so you need the money to pay for those extra things, those extra drugs that you're going to need.
Now, Canada's job market is improving, but analysts say the economy hasn't been strong enough to generate those higher quality jobs for older workers. And until that improves, they say, older Canadians will be competing against teenagers to land those low-paying part-time jobs. Richard Madden, CTV News, Ottawa.
Meanwhile, a new survey has found that post-secondary students aren't counting on having jobs when they graduate. The Bank of Montreal survey found almost half, 46%, said they see themselves starting a business after graduation. Fewer than a third said they were confident that they would find a job in their own field. Speaking of jobs, there are now 15 candidates vying for the 8 seats on Lethbridge City Council. Businessman Blaine Higgin is the latest to enter the race.
My name's Blaine Higgin, and today I'm officially announcing my campaign for councillor in the city of Lethbridge.
Higgin has run twice before, in 2007 and 2010. He also contested the 2011 by-election. The Lethbridge businessman says he has learned a lot from those experiences. Higgin says he wants to see that taxpayers aren't raked over the coals and vows that he won't be a rubber-stamping member of council.
Our city has benefited from practically the same council for years, and as a new councillor, I believe I can be that energizing force. I plan to pose the right questions and do the proper research so that I'm not a rubber-stamping member on council. I hope to demonstrate throughout the campaign that I'm serious about helping to make Lethbridge a great place to live, work, and do business in.
Higgin has volunteer experience serving on school council and working with a number of sports organizations. Now here's a look at the other names you're going to see on the ballot for the October 21st municipal election. Pat Berthelot is vying for a spot on Lethbridge City Council along with Fiona Doherty, Dylan Hargreaves, Mark Lieb, Michelle Madge, George McCrae, Rory McCowan, Darlene McLean, Carrie Milder, Harold Perversoff, Joey Shackelford, James Suji, Jeff Wall, and Rena Wass. There are 3 candidates so far who've announced that they are running for the city's top job. Lethbridge Mayor Rayco Dodick announced back in May that he would not be seeking re-election. Those running for his job are Farron Ellis, Bridget Mearns, and Chris Spearman. Nomination papers to run for City Council have to be filed by September the 23rd. Okay, Dory, we're seeing things cooling down, but this is actually right around average for this time of year.
Yeah, it is, Jackie. Average, as you know, is 21 degrees now in Lethbridge. It's really dropped just in the last couple of weeks, our average temperature. And so we're certainly going to be hovering around those values as we head into the weekend. We still have that low pressure center that is now firmly anchored in southern BC. So we've got watches and warnings posted out in various areas. And that system isn't expected to really break down until Sunday. Not that we're going to get constant rain, but we are going to have these interruptions. So I'll tell you all the details in a couple of minutes.
Okay, thank you, Dory. Cranbrook RCMP are asking for your help finding a suspect wanted in some stabbings. Mounties are releasing this sketch. Back on June 16th, police say the suspect approached two men, accused them of committing some property theft, and then stabbed both of them. The incident happened around 4 a.m. in the area of 17th Avenue and 8th Street North. The victims did suffer serious injuries. They have both recovered. If you have any information, you're urged to contact Cranbrook RCMP. And with all the rain that's happening and expected to fall, folks in the High River area are keeping a very close eye on the forecast. Preparations are already being put into place should there be any significant amounts of rain. Challenges from the June flooding in High River continue to impact every part of that town, including extracurricular activities for children. The High River Tiger swim team is trying to start up their new season, but they don't have a pool in town to swim in because of the flooding, and it's not exactly sure when it'll reopen. Last night was registration night. About 50 kids signed up. Organizers say some will have to be driven to Clare's home to swim. In addition, the club is not for profit, and collecting fees after the flood has been pretty tricky.
That's their physical release, just like the dancers have that creative release, and we need to get them back in the water and get them back swimming, and it's going to be that much more of a challenge because we don't have a pool. We have no pool.
The club is hoping someone may come forward to help them cover some of the season's costs. Now, some good news, although you likely won't be able to use it today or tomorrow. The Gyro Spray Park in West Lethbridge and the Rotary Fountain in Galt Gardens are going to remain open until September the 16th because of all the nice weather we have been having. Well, we all know kids love their gadgets. Turns out parents do too. Lethbridge Public School Division number 51 says more than half of their high school and middle school parents have signed up for accounts with an online reporting system to track everything their kids are doing in school. Jeanette Rocher reports.
Parents can see the student schedules and the order.
For the past 3 years, Lethbridge middle schools and high schools have been progressing deeper into the digital age by opening up an online reporting and tracking system.
The benefits are really strong for parents, where if a student gets a certain grade, then they're able to go in and you're going to see how that grade was made up and how it came to be. And if a student is missing an assignment, they're able to go in and remedy that with the teacher.
The system is called Home Logic, and it's not just grades and assignments it keeps track of. Parents can also track students' schedules, lates, and absences, and keep open lines of communication with the teachers. This year, a feature has been added where parents can choose to get emails sent home automatically every time a new assignment is given.
My older daughter actually has the password too, so she checks it herself, and sometimes it stresses her out if she sees her grades aren't as high as she hopes, but for me it's good. I like to be able to see it.
We have over 3,000 parents who actually have accounts at the high school and middle school level, and that number is pretty impressive, but it's even more impressive when you take into consideration that many of our families have multiple students or children in our schools.
But not all parents think the system is so great.
If they don't have a computer, then how are they supposed to print off their kid's report card or even see it?
Pam Waldern has a child in grade 8 who's been using the system for a couple of years. Although she says she understands why the school is doing it, she just doesn't see the logic of Home Logic.
Because the parents are going to print it off anyway, so if it's for environmental reasons, they're still going to use paper. Most parents, I would think, I would print it just so, because like their great-grandma doesn't have a computer. And so she's always interested in what they're doing and stuff, so to show her, we'd have to print it off for her anyway.
The schools do say they're willing to work with families who don't have computers or internet access and will give them hard copies of those reports. Jeanette Rocher, CTV News, Lethbridge.
The school division is planning to pilot the system at the elementary school level beginning this school year. The wet spring and a series of hailstorms this summer is causing some delays for farmers anxious to get their crops off the field and into the bin. This canola field near Coaldale received Extensive hail damage in July. That set the harvest back a few weeks. Province-wide, harvest is slightly behind normal. In southern Alberta, the harvest is 25 to 30% complete. Alberta Agriculture says dryland yields are higher than normal and quality is also better than average. But farmers say there are localized pockets of drought and other areas where hail has taken a toll.
And it really depended whether you actually got that. I think it was a July 6th storm. There's actually 3 hailstorms that went through. The July 6th one was the worst. But it really depended whether you know, how severely you got hit and what the crop was. You know, crops like flax didn't quite get hit as hard as something like durum or winter wheat or peas that was already, you know, headed out or potted out.
Well, apples are ripe for the picking, so it's a perfect weekend for Lethbridge's first ever Apple Festival. Apple Fest is being hosted by the Lethbridge Sustainable Living Association and the Lethbridge Interfaith Food Bank. People have been donating trees and picking apples and will be bringing them down to the food bank's community kitchen tomorrow, where they'll be turned into crisp and apple juice. The event is all about having fun, sharing, and preventing some good local apples from going to waste.
You have to connect the people who want to pick apples with the people who have the apples. So what we did was we created the Apple Fest to try and get people in sort of a community-based activity where people can just go out and have fun.
Apple Fest is a great tie-in to our overall mandate to promote food security for the families that we're serving and for the community at large. So working with the Lethbridge Sustainable Living Association in encouraging people to make the most of their apples certainly fits with what we do here.
Apple Fest goes from 9 until 3 tomorrow at the food bank. Admission is a toonie. It includes music, poetry, and activities for children. Here's a look at how the markets wrapped up the week. When we come back, Dory's going to tell us how the weather's going to wrap up the week.